Why is managing my money so hard? That is the topic on our minds that we really want to unpack and talk about today.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is it so hard? We hear that a lot. I think I used to think it was hard. I think how I'd respond to that today is maybe it's not as hard as I thought it was. Maybe we just make it hard. But why do you think people do kind of align with this idea that managing their money is hard? Why does it need to be so hard? And is it really that hard?
I think we have to go all the way back to when we're teenagers and we start working. And we have natural savers or natural spender tendencies. We have those already built in with us. I grew up as a natural saver. My sister, my daughter, she is a natural spender, right? So as a kid, it's very easy to be that natural spender. All of your needs are met by whoever is your caregiver. So in our case, my daughter has her food needs met, her clothing, her housing, her transportation. She doesn't have to worry about those things when she's thinking about how she's going to spend the money that she's earning or that she's given. As a kid, if you choose to blow your money on XYZ, as you grow and mature and maybe you graduate high school and go off to college or you get a job that's paying you more money, you may start seeing and recognizing, okay, I got to rein this in. I can't keep spending at this level. And that's maturity. And that's maybe the people who are around you. Maybe it's your influences. But some people, they don't go into that. They don't mature into that because they just keep making more and spending more, making more and spending more, which is what we did for many years. So I could relate to that, even though I'm this natural saver. I just never really felt like, I felt like managing my money is hard. So if you think about it from that lens, you're a kid, you're mowing lawns, you're spending the money, you graduate high school, you're making more money, you graduate college, you're making more money, now you're paying for an apartment, you're paying for a car, you're paying for maybe possibly student loans, credit card debt. How do you work in there saving, creating an emergency fund if you never learned how?
I'm going to tell you what, listening to that, I started to feel some anxiety, right, coming up. I started to kind of connect back with my 18, 19, 20-year-old self, and I'm starting to realize that, yes, I'm making more money, and to your point, now I can spend more money. And I'll go back to something we touched on, at the very beginning of this show was how we were kind of raised, right? And so I'll share a little bit of that just really quickly. I was encouraged to spend what I had and to make more so I could spend more. And then not only just make more and spend more, but leverage more, right? And so now I can borrow more, which means I can buy stuff faster. I can spend even more money. And I got really good at that. My natural tendency is to try to go all in and become an expert at whatever it is I'm doing. And so at that time in my life, it was spending, it was building this lifestyle, right? I needed a house, and the house has a yard, so I need a lawnmower, and I had a car, but I qualify for a car loan, so I can go buy a different car, right? Or I can get a second car. And so I just kept stacking all of those things, and I got really good at kind of playing the game, right? I was borrowing money, I was qualifying for loans, I was encouraged or motivated rather to work harder to make more money so that I could put more toward payments that allowed me to have more stuff, right? And and that's what, you can kind of hear it in my voice, I think, this anxiety, right? Like, as I connect with that immature version of myself, which I'm by no means mature now, but I was way less mature then, man, I like that induces a little bit of anxiety as I think about what I was doing, who I was, what was motivating my decisions and my behaviors. And that's something you talk about all the time, is the behaviors associated with that. And and I wrote down a question while you were talking. So do you identify, this is a question for just the general audience, right? Do you identify with one or the other, the spender or the saver? Or are you a little bit of both? And I think I might even suggest that everybody has a little bit of both in them, And so sometimes it can be really hard to figure out, am I the spender Or am I the saver? Like, the worst thing could be for a saver or somebody who's actually a spender to believe that they're a saver, right? And so now they think they're a saver and they're out there spending, but thinking they're doing it the right way. They're using the credit system, the point system, the reward system. They're trying to put money back towards savings, but they're using spending as a tool to do it, and that can get really dangerous.
And again, you're just spinning your wheels and you're not really going anywhere.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Except maybe further and further into debt. So if we take this idea that it's a behavior, right, there's definitely head knowledge to it, because the other piece of it is when you did start earning money, and I'll go back to the example of mowing lawns or babysitting, if you didn't have somebody teaching you, well, take some of that and take a portion of it and save it, take a portion of it and spend it, and take a portion of it and maybe give it and invest it into your future. If you don't learn that when you're young, then when you do start making a bigger income, a salary, it's like, wow, now I'm making bank, right? Are you really going to have the habit built in place, the behavior to start saving and giving and investing? Or are you just going to keep spending it all? And if you didn't learn how to do those things, then you probably also didn't learn how to manage the money that you're making. So while it is, yes, a little bit of head knowledge, it's also a lot of behavior. So if we can start out with great behaviors, then the more money we make, we're just using those behaviors with the increased income.
Yeah, we talked, a title of our last show or 2 shows ago was More of Who You Are, right? And I mean, this really speaks to that. I feel like it's this idea that, and I said it, I just got better at repeating, right? And doing these behaviors, these habits that I had learned, I just got that much better at them, right? And as I earned more or added on jobs or, did contract work to try to generate more revenue, I leaned into what I was doing, what I was already doing. I wasn't looking for an alternate path. I wasn't even aware of an alternate path at the time. I was just leaning in really hard to, looking back now, getting into debt, deeper and deeper debt. And so, with that in mind, getting deeper into debt, putting these habits to use, we touched on, again, in a previous episode, we talked about these habits and how we all have, one theory anyway, is that we all have a certain number of habits. And while we can teach ourselves new habits, the only way to truly change your behaviors is to replace, not erase, right? We need to replace the bad habits with good habits rather than try to just eliminate the bad ones, right? And I think the same goes, you can kind of apply that concept to this spender saver mentality, where if you're only ever trying to save and reduce your spending, is that a good, and I'm asking the question, right? So what do we think about this idea that I can spend less and I can save my way to a more financially healthy place? And does that have a limitation versus my income as a vehicle, right? So one of those has a limitation associated with it, the other one doesn't, right? And so if I'm focused on saving, the limit is I can only get down to 0. But if I'm focused on income, there really is, the only limit that I impose on that is my willingness to transform time into dollars, right? Do work, do different things. But then the question becomes, what do we do with those dollars? How do we associate and learn these better behaviors that are going to, help us balance and create a sustainable lifestyle between the spender and the saver, whether it's an internal struggle or it's in a relationship, right?
Right, because we don't want the extreme on either end. We don't want an extreme spender or an extreme saver. You want to give yourself permission to spend the money that you're working hard for. But at the end of the day, it's hard because you don't have a plan for it. You're just kind of living on this hamster wheel of make more, spend more. Maybe it's make more, save more. But are you saving as much as you could be if you don't have a plan for your money?